Hey guys, it is MissSimReno. If you are returning to the channel, welcome back. And if you're brand new, I am very excited that you decided to join me here today for another speed build. Yes, an actual speed build, not an apartment. And we are in Copperdale. And today we are building a little bungalow, like a true bungalow this time. I did another build in Copperdale and I think I called it a bungalow as well, and it technically had 2 stories, so it wasn't really like categorized as a bungalow. But anyway, this is a 1-story home, which I don't typically do. I think I did do one recently though. I think it was the log cabin that I did like in winter, like early winter. But this is a 1-story home. It is a 2-bedroom, 1 bathroom, I want to say. I think it's a 1 bathroom. And I really liked this house. I thought it fit into Copperdale really, really nicely. And it did take me a little bit of time to kind of figure out exactly how I wanted it to look, because here's my struggle. I struggle a lot with 1-story homes because I feel as though in The Sims, with the proportions of everything, like, I don't know, just like spacing of like windows, how big rooms have to be, how big the objects are, you know, all that stuff. I think the proportions are a little bit odd in The Sims 4, so 1-story homes end up looking a lot bigger on the exterior and maybe a little bit, well, not proportional to what's inside. You know, you might be looking at this house. For me personally, it seemed really big when I was making it, but kind of looking at it now, I would only envision like a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom in here, because how the heck are you going to fit a kitchen, a living room, a bedroom, a bathroom, like just all the things that you need? And I was shocked to be able to make it a 2-bedroom home at the end of the day. So I don't know, things can just get wonky, but you can see that we are trying to work on the exterior color scheme. That is where I spent a lot of time when I was originally working on this home, because I felt as though the white windows didn't pop enough against the white siding, but I really liked the white siding. I really wanted to stick with it. So I did stick with it, and I ended up with a brown roof, and I tried for just some smaller brown accents like this bay window over here off to the right. I decided to keep that with the brownish shutters, and then I did maintain the white windows, but I played around with some other sidings and like wallpapers and things. I tried to add these little, what are they called? What are those called? I don't remember what they're called, but I added them all over the house just to try to make, I don't know, some other minor details that would look a little bit different. I chose a different like little chimney stack here as well, just to kind of match the colors a bit more. And it was a little bit difficult. It's a very simple house, so I don't know why it was so hard, but I think I also complemented the browns with these window boxes, these flower boxes from Get Together. They're kind of more for Tudor style homes, but I think they looked really nice. And then I did also add a dormer up here on the 2nd story just to add some more detail to the roof line. However, there is no actual 2nd story. I did consider making it an attic space, but it is very, very small. You could, of course, do that if you would like. You'd probably have to add a ladder, but I don't know. Did I call it a ladder space or an attic space? I think I said attic space, but you'd have to add a ladder to get to the attic, but I don't exactly know what room that would end up being in. That's kind of the problem. It might end up in the hallway, I'm not sure, but it also might be in the kids' room. So you'd have to play around with it if you wanted to do that. But now we are working on the landscaping, which I wanted to try to make a little bit different. I did size down these, technically I think they're trees, from the base game debug menu to try to just create some different bushes, which I did. Actually, I think I did that as well in my other Copperdale little like bungalow thing that I made. I also used these purpley blue hydrangea and just a few different plants as well to kind of complement things here. I wasn't really going for a particular theme. I just wanted it to look full and nice, and that's pretty much it. I have mentioned this before, and I think I'm finally actually doing it, like genuinely finally actually doing it, but I'll explain why it's taken me so long. So I said I was going to do a landscaping tutorial a very long time ago at this point. And finally, after months, I did film one, or at least I thought I filmed one, because I went through the entire thing. I thought it was great. I thought it was going to be really helpful. I thought it was very beginner friendly. And it turns out I straight up didn't press the record button. So that was humiliating for myself. And I was livid. And now finally, after about a month and a half, 2 months, I think I'm ready to revisit it. Like, that's how mad I was. I was so mad at myself. I could not believe that I did that. So if you're wondering how quote unquote professional YouTubers, I don't know, if they don't make mistakes or if they don't struggle sometimes with technology, oh, I promise we do. I didn't press the one button I had to press to make sure that the content that I was making was captured. So that's really fun. But I talked all the way through the rest of the landscaping. It is a very small lot. I believe this is a 20 by 20 lot. It's a perfect square. So I didn't have a lot of space to create like a backyard or any like side yard things, but I did really like what I ended up creating. There is a very small fenced in backyard, and there's maybe, I think, 2 activities, I want to say, which was more than I was anticipating anyway, but it's very, very small. It almost seemed awkward, but once I started placing some things, it worked a little bit better. But now we are on to the interior. So we were working on the floor plan, and there is, of course, again, 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. And then there's a combined kitchen and dining space, as well as a living space and a sunroom off of the back of the build, because I thought that would be kind of new and interesting. And I really liked, I did this recently in another build in Copperdale, now that I think about it, when I did my bubble tea and thrift shop. I don't know why I stumble over that. I used those windows from Snowy Escape for a not quite bay window area, and I used them here for the sunroom, and I really like them. I feel like they're a lot more versatile than I've given them credit for in the past. So I really enjoyed using those here. And we first start working on the kitchen and dining space. I knew I wanted to use some warmer wood tones, but not quite orange wood tones, if you know what I mean. So I wanted to use these chairs from the high school years expansion pack definitively because I loved the flower pattern. I don't think I've ever used this swatch of the chair before. And the second I saw it, I was like, okay, so we're going like cozy, warm family home. I see what we're doing. All right, this is the vibe we're going for. But I really wasn't liking the tile in here. So I think what I end up doing, and I mean the floor tiles, not the wall tiles. I love the wall tiles. They're from Parenthood. They're always a fan favorite. Anyway, I didn't like the floor tiles at all. So I think I end up just doing wood floors throughout the entire home, except for the bathroom. I think that ended up working best for kind of the look that I was going for. And I think that it warmed up the kitchen a lot because the tile to me, you know, when I watch footage back of my own builds, like as I'm doing voiceovers and things like that, I don't mind the tile, but as I'm actively building, it just feels cold sometimes and I just really don't like it. So I do end up ditching it, I believe, because I really didn't like it in the kitchen. But I am now cluttering up the kitchen just a little bit. I have been doing this so often with those little storage things from Dream Home Decorator because I size them down and I imagine that they have a bunch of recipe cards in them. Maybe I'm doing this so much because I really need to do that with recipes that I enjoy. When I find a recipe that I like, do I save it? No, I don't save it at all. I just use the Google machine, yes, as I call it, and I try to find it again. And then I get frustrated at myself because I'm like, why didn't I save this somewhere? And then I think, well, where the heck would I have saved it? At one point, I actually created like a Google Drive thing for myself to try to save recipes. And I just abandoned it. I just never went back to it. I don't use it. So I feel like I have to start writing down things on recipe cards and keeping them somewhere. I feel like that'll be a good idea for me because I really want to stop losing the good recipes that I find and really enjoy, because sometimes it's really difficult to find the ones that you absolutely love. But anyway, the kitchen is pretty much coming together at this point. Again, I do change the floors to a wood flooring very soon. And I believe we use the floors from Jungle Adventure in kind of like a warmer honey wood tone, which I really like. I think it's either that or it's going to be the one. Nope, it is. It's the one from Jungle Adventure. I was going to say it could be the one from Eco Lifestyle as well. I couldn't really recall. But then we start working on the living space because I was just getting a bit flustered with the kitchen, truthfully. I was going to try to go a little bit more neutral in the color scheme, and we end up shifting away from that drastically, and we do use more orange woods, but only as complements or accents to kind of the flooring. That's what I was going for. I really tried to kind of make it a bit more contemporary, but I did. No, I was totally right. I do change the floors. These are the Eco Lifestyle floors. I knew it. I shouldn't have doubted myself. But I actually did this color combination with this sofa, this swatch of the sofa, and this rug from Discovery University in an apartment recently. And I just really liked it because it's not something that I would have ever thought would go together. So I did use it again here, and I actually can't remember if I did the bungalow first or the apartment, but I did them around the same time, so I'm not really surprised that it happened. But I think it looks so nice, and it really warmed up the living space, and I carried that flooring through to the kitchen as well. And I changed out the cabinets and the countertops to this kind of softer wood tone with the yellow countertop from Jungle Adventure. I can't recall if I change it, But at the time, I really liked it. I was going rather bold, I think, with color choices, and that's not something that I typically do. I have said this many, many times. I am not a huge fan of extremely colorful spaces. See, I knew it. I changed it back to the ones that I had. I freaking knew it. I know myself reasonably well. I knew I was going to do that. But anyway, I don't really like a lot of bold colors. And typically when I start bringing in like pastel colors or just really vibrant colors, I tend to struggle and I get very like overwhelmed with it. And I think it's because it's very overstimulating to me. If you guys saw my house, like the decor in my house, it is very, very neutral tone. It's very, very light. I like a lot of natural colors or earthy tones or a lot more like washed out colors. So the bold like orangey woods and the yellow rug, the blue pillows, it really kind of slaps you in the face. And I really like it in The Sims, but man, for me, it would be really difficult to kind of manage. I wouldn't really like that. But I am just cluttering up over the fireplace here. I really, really liked this living space. I do playtest all my builds and everything was perfectly accessible, though I think the only thing is your Sims will walk all the way around the dining table to get to the living space. I personally didn't mind that, but if you want to get rid of the chairs kind of at each end of the table, that will likely resolve that issue so you don't have to worry about it. And considering that I built this for a family of 3, you don't really need all of those dining chairs. But since I had the space to do it and things worked, I decided to keep it. But I also added a few things from the Everyday Clutter kit in the living room and the kitchen, which I'm obsessed with that kit. It has been the best kit that we have gotten, hands down. I am a builder mainly, like primarily, so I really do like the build and buy kits. I also really love a lot of the cast kits that we've gotten, but this one was needed, I think. I was hoping for a clutter kit the second kits were announced and started to become a thing. So this is going to be the one and only bathroom, by the way. Just a segue into that. There is, of course, everything your Sims need in a bathroom. And I believe we go with a shower tub combo because why the heck would we not do that? There's also a closet in the hallway, which I really enjoyed because I've been using those a lot more lately, just because I like the idea. I think it's a little bit more realistic. And it utilized that space in a way that made sense to me because I thought it was going to be kind of an awkward spot. It could have been maybe like a half bathroom, but having like a half bathroom and then a full bathroom right next door to each other kind of seemed a bit odd to me, so I didn't do it. Now this is going to be the kids' room. So I was envisioning 2 parents and their 1 child, and that's it. Like they don't want any more kids. Maybe, and I don't know, this is kind of like it's like a mix of a sad story, but kind of with like the happy ending part. Maybe they struggled to have a child for a really, really long time, and then they finally just had their little miracle baby, and that was it. Like they were happy, they were satisfied. They were like, we just wanted a child of our own. We finally had said child, and we are just so obsessed and in love with them that we couldn't even envision bringing in another child into the world and going through all of that strife again. I don't know. It kind of makes me a little bit teary, but at the same time, I thought it was a really nice kind of thought. I don't know. I liked it. But as you can see, their room is a bit small, but we were able to fit in a fair amount of things in here. We did, again, go with kind of the yellowy and blue theme, though this one is, I think, a little bit more complemented by orangey wood tones compared to really bold and bright yellows. I did use the same rug from the living space and put it in the kids' room as well, but I think that they're really into music, number one, because they do have their own kind of like little Lindsay speaker thing, and they also have a violin, and then they've got those like display of CDs. So I think that they really, really like music. I don't know what genre of music they enjoy, but that was kind of the thought. So maybe when they're a teenager, they'll actually pick up like guitar and piano and things like that. If I had put a keyboard in here, which would have been a little bit too big, but if I had had a keyboard in this build, I believe the child Sims can toy around on the keyboard, though I don't know if that's restricted to having a higher creativity skill. I can't remember. But this is also going to be the parents' room, and I did use the exact same rug again. Because, you know what, why not? I don't care. They also have a nice dark blue comforter swatch from Seasons. And I was originally going to do this like built-in kind of thing with some of the orange wood-toned Dream Home Decorator things, but I really like using this base game side table that I don't use very often, just because it's a little bit more modern and contemporary compared to my normal decorating style. So I carried that through here because I also used it in the kids' room. And then I used this dresser from high school years because I can't stop using it because I love it. And I tossed this little armchair from Eco Lifestyle in the corner. and tried to find some artwork for over the bed. And then I just clutter up the dresser a little bit. They also have a full-length mirror in their room as well, which I thought was really nice. And I realized I put the pet bed and the scratching post in the living space, but I forgot to put a food bowl. Now, this is already uploaded to the gallery, and I didn't add the food bowl until afterwards. So be aware, if you don't want a pet with your family, that's fine, just delete those items anyway, but you will have to add a food bowl, so I am so sorry. And, a litter box. So you know what? I really didn't prepare for, for there to actually be a cat in this build. So that's embarrassing. I really struggle. I don't put a lot of pet related things in my builds typically. I don't know why I forget that we have pets and they need things in the house if you're going to use them. So yeah, I always kind of forget about that. So I apologize. Not all of those elements are there, but you can of course add them if you want them in there and you want a pet. And now we finished up the parents' room and we're just working on this little hallway, which really doesn't have too much in it, mainly because we've already got the closet. We just have an entryway table here, I believe, as well as perhaps another mirror or another piece of artwork. There really isn't too much going on here because the space is a bit congested, but it was nice enough to decorate that little hallway and just make it look lived in and make it look slightly decorated. I also added some sconces because what do? Save lives, always. And then we end up working on the sunroom, which I was gonna go with the stone texture to kind of bring in the yellow elements from the house, and I really didn't like it at all. I really didn't. So I just carried the same wood flooring and the wallpaper with the paneling. And I ended up putting a chess table out here. I believe there's a stereo so they can listen to music and stuff. And there's an armchair so you can like sit and maybe read a book, listen to music. Oh, and not a chess table. I use the Don't Wake the Yeti game because I love it and I always forget about it. It's basically Don't Wake the Llama, which I also forget about more often than not. But I thought it was really nice, just another activity. Maybe that's like the kids' favorite game recently. And, they play with one of their parents all the time while the other one prefers to just like read in the corner. Thought that was kind of a nice idea. It allows them to spend time as a family, but also indulge in like their own interests every now and then. And it was just a really cozy space. So I really liked it. It's more of a, we'll call it a sunroom or like a four-season porch. I don't know. What would you categorize that as? I have no idea. But that is the stereo that I went with, and then I just added some artwork, and then we end up moving on to the little back deck in the backyard. So on the deck, by the way, there is a grill, which is nice, so they can grill out even if they end up eating inside, because I didn't give them an outside dining table. I didn't think I had the space. And I give them a chicken coop, which was really exciting to me. The chicken coop, in comparison to some other objects, is huge. So it looked a bit out of place for just a second, but I ended up sticking with it because I thought it was a nice activity and kind of a different activity for maybe a lot of the homes that I've built in Copperdale or a lot of the families that I've envisioned. So that was the thought process. You could, of course, replace it with anything that you would like. If you don't want to have chickens, that is perfectly okay. But I am just wrapping up the landscaping as well on the backyard and kind of like around the sunroom because I hadn't done it before. And then we are pretty much at the end of the build. So I hope you all enjoyed this one. I cannot wait to hear your thoughts, and I will catch you next time I post a video, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.
Sometimes we act like a fool, not aware we're troublemakers. Sometimes we try to be cool, not being givers, only takers.